What's up guys, this is Frank from Altcoin Buzz, and today we're going to do a technical analysis on Atom. Now Atom has seen a very scary move down. We've broken some pretty important support levels, so we're going to see what the meaning of that is when it comes to the future price movement for Atom. The daily time frame has two important indicators which you need to be watching if you are an investor or a trader in Atom. So I'm going to show you what those are, because these have flashed in the past and they have meant significant price action has occurred thereafter. So wait until the end of the video for me to tell you which direction that price action would be leading us towards. Of course, we're going to be going from the monthly all the way down to the daily to really give you the bigger picture as well as the more granular view. Of course, a lot of altcoins have experienced double-digit dumps over the past week. So really now is a time to be starting to look at the market. As I've mentioned in the past videos, money is made during bear markets. This is when we have 50, 60, 70% retracements on altcoins, and these are usually representative of times to be looking at entering the market. Now, for those of you who don't know, Altcoin Buzz is first and foremost a crypto investment research company, and we have been providing you numerous 100x returns since 2017. So if you want to get in on that action, join our Altcoin Buzz Access group, where we document up-to-date research covering undervalued altcoin gems, NFT minting opportunities, and our portfolio strategies. So click the link up above or down in the pinned comment section down below to take part in the action today. Also, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any future updates. And finally, please note that none of this is financial advice. Okay, so as mentioned, the past 7 days has seen double-digit losses for a lot of the altcoins. Bitcoin dominance is at 40.1%, up about 1.5% since the last time we did an analysis a few days ago. So it seems that the market is getting a bit scared. Of course, we had that International Monetary Fund report, which might have scared the market a bit. And of course, Atom over here in 28th place has seen 22.5% loss in price over the past week, which is actually a little bit higher than several of these other altcoins. So let's have a look and see what's happening. Obviously, we're going to start by looking at the bigger picture, and this is very important, people, because it can be very easy to look at the shorter time frames, look at the past week or month and think, oh, it's all red. But it's very critical to look at the bigger time frame here. And clearly we can see that there is a very strong, powerful uptrend, increasing bullish volume all the way since June last year. Higher highs, higher lows, all right? So this tells us that we should have a bullish bias, right? We are not in a bear market, despite this massive red candle that we've had here. So really what we're looking for is support anywhere between here and potentially all the way down to $8. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're going to get down there, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that even if we were to get down to $10 or $9 or $8, we would still be in an uptrend and we would still have a bullish bias, still be looking for a bullish entry into this market. So basically, despite the fact that we've had some red, we are still looking for a bullish entry. But of course, for that, we need to look at the lower time frames, do an analysis before we can do a price prediction, before we can even consider entering a trade. We want to see if there's any reasons for why we might be finding support at the current level. Now, in some of the ideas for Cosmos Tether US on tradingview.com, they mentioned that we are in a critical support zone. Now, this is because we have seen two lows at this previous level at the $17.29 level. So there's this assumption that we might find support here again. However, I would hesitate to call this a massive support. We did have support here, but really there's no other confluence suggesting that we would find support here. And we have had a break of the weekly uptrend. And not only that, but we are now officially in a downtrend. Ever since January 2022, we've had a low, a lower high, and a lower low. So this is officially a downtrend. And so you have to be very careful if you're looking to buy here, because of course the trend is your friend, and If you were trying to buy now, you're doing what's called fading the market, which means that you're trying to find a bottom, you're trying to find a top. In this case, of course, we are in a bear market on the weekly time frame. We're trying to find a bottom. Now, usually the most prudent thing to do is to wait for a very clear sign of reversal on the price action. In other words, for example, a pin bar where the price comes to a certain level, an important level, or below that level, and then takes us right back up. But right now, we've just had this big bodied red candle here with no real sign that we are finding support here. So we're really hoping that there will be support at the $17.29 level, but currently there's nothing really to back that up, certainly not on the weekly time frame. We can see on the weekly time frame the histogram over here, which is these red bars that we're seeing, is seeing a bearish momentum which is increasing, has been increasing since the 4th of April, not to mention the fact that we have more bearish momentum now than we did at the end of February. So really there's nothing to save us here on the weekly, not to mention also that on the weekly we currently have an RSI of 38.5. Now we've seen an RSI on the weekly in the past of 34, and even if we were to reach that, we're still not at oversold levels. So I have to warn you that there is potential for more downside here, given that we are in a downtrend already. Okay, before I get down to the daily time frame, quick question for you guys. Are you holding, are you hodling Atom, or are you trading it? And if you're hodling it, since when have you been hodling it? Let me know down in the comments section below. Now, things start to look very interesting on the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, you can see that we are oversold on the RSI, and we've spent one day on the 26th of April being oversold. And then we spent another 1, 2, 3, 4 days being oversold at the end of April and the beginning of May. Now, what's interesting is if we backtest this to the last time that we were oversold on the RSI, and you will see that this was quite a while ago over here, back on the 10th of March 2020. Now here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of oversold. And what happened then? Well, of course, this was actually a very, very important bottom. And so from the low, we actually saw a big move up here, 755%. That was the absolute bottom. So now that we've seen 5 days of oversold RSI, there is some potential that we have something play out like what happened on the 12th of March 2020, where we had an actual bottom. Now, interestingly, we had another similar bottom here, again, when the RSI was oversold, and this time was on the 28th of August. Here we had, I've counted it already, we had 9 days of oversold RSI, and of course, if you had have gotten in at that bottom, again, you would have had a solid 190% return to the next high. So it's worthy to note that this daily oversold has been a pretty powerful signal in the past. However, what I have to point out to you guys is that in the past, the daily RSI reached a low both times of 19.57, all right? Whereas currently we are only at 25.88. So this suggests that, if we are trying to repeat previous patterns, we would expect actually further downside in the RSI, which of course would lead very likely to further downside in the price action. This is why I must admit I am not bullish on this chart, but it is very interesting to note that the daily RSI is showing us potential signs of a reversal. What we would want to see would be at least another 2 days in the oversold of the RSI and or coming down to the 19.57 level. If we do, then there's a good sign that at the very least we will have a prominent bounce from that extremely oversold level. Now, something else which I want to point out to you is the MACD histogram. So on the MACD histogram, so really the ball is in the court of the bears at the moment. But just taking you back to the weekly chart, something else which is worthy to note is that we are currently just below the 200 EMA. Now, we did find support at the 200 EMA twice, once in June 2021 and once in July 2021. Again, this of course was a very, very important bottom. So so right now we actually have a break and a close below this blue line. But what often happens is that you have a fake out where everyone's like, okay, this is the end of the world. We've broken the 200 EMA. We're going to go even further. And then the very next candle, we see a move up. So if we were to see a very, very powerful move up on the next candle, this would suggest that maybe this 200 EMA is acting as some sort of support. But again, the story is repeating itself. Until we see some price action taking us up, we are playing a very, very risky game if we're considering entering at the current level. Now, when it comes to support, as I've mentioned, we have the $17.29 level. This is the low that we had a couple of days ago on the 30th of April, which, by the way, is the lowest price we've seen Cosmos in the year of 2022. It's also a price at which we did find support a couple of times before. So there is some hope that we find support here. And then, of course, the next level of support is the $13.15 level. This is really an approximate level. It's more of a zone, which is marked by the previous high over here at the $14.7 level, taking us all the way down to the $11.1 level. So the 11.1 to the $14.7 level is a zone, obviously, and I've marked this level in the middle of that zone to signify the next potential support if we have another move down. And then finally, of course, the next major support, which was being the previous massive support in the past, massive pivot point, is the $7.83 level. So before I get on to a price prediction for Atom USDT for Cosmos, I just want to show you this resistance line which we are seeing on the daily time frame. Of course, this is a diagonal resistance. Now, as I mentioned, it would be a very risk-seeking trader who would enter right now, given that we don't have any strong signs of reversal. But this would be one of the first signs we'd be looking for of a reversal if we were to break this diagonal resistance line. Now, when it comes to resistances, we want to look at the 4-hour time frame. So for the 4-hour time frame, the most immediate resistance, of course, is the $18.69 level. But we would really want to have a clean break above that level to think of potentially reaching the next resistance, which would be the $22.3 level. But note that even if we break this level, it doesn't mean we will be going straight up to the $22.2 level, because we are in a downtrend. So reversals usually are not quite that powerful unless we are extremely oversold on multiple time frames. That being said, this would be the first step. If we break this $18.69 level, then the bear flag, which probably a lot of people are trading now, which is marked by this triangle, would be broken, and people who are shorting the market would have their stop losses placed probably above this level, and then we might see some move to the upside. Then, of course, the next important level would be the $22.3 level. You can see that we had a support just above this level and then a resistance. So breaking that would be somewhat significant. And then, of course, much more significant than that would be the $25.09 level. That's the previous daily high. But of course, we are a long way from that level right now. Okay, so now I'm going to give you my general price prediction. I'm going to stroke my magic crystal ball to tell you what I think is going to happen. Of course, this is all about probabilities. Nothing is for sure. This is just my personal price prediction based off of the hour or so that I've spent analyzing this chart. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 scenarios, and then I'm going to tell you which one I think is the most likely. Now, of course, the bulls are hoping that this 17.29 is the bottom, and they might be hoping that we really just have a reversal from here. Probably would be more messy than that before we have another move up. Now, as you may or may not have guessed, this is not what I think is the most likely scenario. Another scenario is that we have a low, a sort of a powerful quick dump, which then shows a reversal taking us right back up. And what this would look like would be a weekly spike through this level, but a close above the $17.29 level over the coming days. And then that would give us the pin bar that we talked about. That would tell us that, okay, this $17.29 level is important, that although we've had a fake out below it, in fact, would be a good sign that, yes, we would have another move up from there. That's the second scenario. Now, the third scenario is, of course, that we continue this downtrend. Again, the trend is your friend. A lot of people would say this is the most likely scenario where, maybe we have a consolidation here since we're oversold on the daily, but then we see another move down to the next previous important support level, and then we have another consolidation over there. And I think that if we were to come down to this level, it's going to be much more probable that this would be the bottom for this market, because of course, again, we are looking for a long bias based on the monthly chart, and then from here I suspect it would be more likely that we would see a move up. Now, I think that this is actually the most likely scenario, that we actually have another notable move down because of the momentum that we've seen on the weekly time frame, because we're in a weekly downtrend. But that's not to discount the possibility that we have a spike down to this level, or a spike a few dollars below the $17 level, and then taking us right back up thereafter. But the point is that my personal prediction is that we will see further downside price action. And really, we have to wait for following price action before we can trade this market. I personally would not trade this. I think that it's somewhat too oversold to short. I think there isn't strong enough evidence that we have a long position here. But certainly, if we were to come down to the $13.15 level, or if we were to have a wick taking us down below the 17.29 and then a close of the weekly candle taking us above the 17.29, that would be a very strong sign that this, in fact, is an important support. All right, guys, that's been it from me for today. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. Let me know what you think of the analysis, where you think the Atom price will be heading. And please don't forget that we are still in a bull market for a lot of these altcoins on the monthly chart. You really don't need to be too concerned about these big moves down of the past week. This is very, very normal. And in altcoins, if you want to have those 600% gains, you need to be able to take these 60% losses. And of course, Atom currently has had a just above 62% drop since the highs. So be sure to keep an eye on the markets to see when we find important price levels, which I've mentioned in this chart, or important price action like the pin bar, which I talked about, which could lead you to potentially wanting to enter the market. With that being said, don't forget to check out my previous videos. I covered Engine and Infinity a week ago. You can check out what I said about that. A lot of these altcoins are seeing somewhat similar patterns, but there are important differences. So if you want to learn more about technical analysis and about what I think will happen to the price of Engine and Infinity, check out that video. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next one.